Not yet. This bar has to go all the way across. Okay, yeah, it should be publishing. There we go. Wonderful. We are now broadcasting. Welcome to all of our online viewers. I'm going to count us in just a moment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are now letting in the community.
Well, good morning, everyone in Canada, and good evening, everyone, to all our friends in India. We're excited to have you here with us today for the exciting opening ceremonies of Together 2023. This is our third year here we're in, and we're excited for a whole new expanded format. We'll talk you through some of the details. We have some really exciting special guests that are with us today to talk to you, tell you a little bit about their entrepreneurial journeys, bring greetings from different partners from the government of India. And I'm really excited to welcome everyone for what's going to be an exciting program. I'm Chris Carter. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the Schulich School of Business at York University. Schulich, the top-ranked MBA in Canada and one of the top-ranked MBAs in the world. We're thrilled to also have joining us today our students from our campus in Hyderabad in India, where we have a deep partnership with the people of India, the government of India, and in this special program. I'm blessed to be joined today by my partner in the broadcast, my co-host, Sayash, and welcome, Sayash, and it's over to you to bring greetings from Startup India and Invest India.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Suyash. I work with Startup India. To give you a brief overview of what Startup India is, Startup India is a flagship program of the government of India to catalyze the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country. And just recently, we celebrated our 7th anniversary around 3 days back. And to give you an overview of what we've done in these last 7 years, right? We've become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world today. We've grown 20x over the last 3 years to today stand at north of 88,000 startups with 108 unicorns. And while there are a plethora of activities that we continue to do and a plethora of programs that have contributed to the growth, like financial incentives in terms of seed benefits, tax exemptions, assistance in IP protection, assistance in reduction of regulations. The cornerstone of why we've been able to grow this far is because of partnerships like the one that we're witnessing here today, right? We started together, I think, our journey with the Schulich Business School with Together 3 years back, with around 100 students in India and about 100 or 150 students in Canada. And, Chris had mentioned in one of the previous events of Together 2023 that by the end of this event, we would have had 1,000 students in both these countries combined. And I think that's the kind of impact that we're looking at here. We're not only talking about people, we're talking about the intensity and the depth of these individual connects, right? And really looking forward to today's event as well as the journey forward. So yeah, over to you, Chris.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we'll jump now with my team into the presentation to welcome everybody and talk a bit more in detail about the program. So you've met the two of us. That's great. We'll continue right along and we'll jump straight in, guys. First of all, we're happy to let you know that we have, as we said, a wonderful lineup today of speakers representing all levels of industry and government and some past champions coming back to meet with us today. You'll get deep dive introductions on all of them in the moments ahead as we introduce them for their sessions. Continuing right along, we'll give you a brief overview here of the program itself. So where are we at? We're in the opening day here of the Venture Bootcamp, the opening ceremonies. We have our top 22 teams. They've been taken down from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications. And then we achieved the top 100, went into our top 22, and we're really excited about some of those teams. We're going to tell you about some of the categories that they highlight in a minute. Next, they'll be going through a process of working with their mentors, working with their student teams, and building all the way up to the championship finals on February 19th, where we'll be excited to all come back together and see the top 6 teams pitch live. They've already been through a boot camp experience in November, where they've gone through some detailed training just to get to this point where they're at today. And also, we're happy to announce we've got our first level of fundraising prizing taken care of. So first prize for the top team will be 15,000 Canadian, and we're continuing to build on that prize pool. So more announcements to come in the days ahead, and second prize at 5,000. Continuing right along, we'll take a look at some of the categories that we have companies in. We put the call out with a mission of self-reliability, sustainability, and social purpose. Keys for the Government of India, Invest India, and Startup India in terms of their missions. And we have 8 sectors of national importance that these startups are working on. You'll see on the next page as we move along that we have 22 teams. And I can tell you that one of the things we're really excited about, and I think everybody can lean in on here with some applause, is that we really have a diverse founder base this time around, in that we have 16 female co-founders from the 22 teams. So we're very happy about that. Exciting to see young women from India building their companies, and we'll be working with them as we go along. We've also got some interesting notes here that we have 9 healthcare related companies from the group, 4 agritech and edtech companies, and also we've got a nice set of companies that are working in AI and robotics as well too. So there's some deep tech in here as well. We want to also give a shout out today, moving right along, to the Canadian students who are helping out. This is just some of the students collection here to give them a shout out and say thank you. There's still more in addition that have signed up and are signing up every day, joining in on teams. And their volunteer time and helping us out is greatly appreciated. So shout out to all you guys for your work teaming up with the Indian students. Also, we have our own students in India at our campus in Hyderabad. Look at those smiling faces. There they are. They've been working and training in the background during the previous term to be the key leads, the project managers, driving the process forward. And they've been fantastic. My co-instructor, Shrey, and I have been working with them. And I know they're watching remotely from campus right now. So shout out to you guys. And thanks again for all your hard work in class. Now we're going to put that class effort to the test in the competition. We have our mentors, many of them joining us today. Paired mentors, one from India, one from Canada, working together side by side to coach the teams, and they're all volunteering their time. This year, we have far more time to work together with the teams and the mentors. Shout out to the mentors for all their hard work. Also, we want to say thank you to our trainers moving along who are already hard at work. Roshni's up first today. She'll be doing her first training session, and the other 4 trainers jumping in tomorrow, working with everybody. We're going to get right out of the gate and hard at work, set everybody up with the right framework to approach the process over the next 45 plus days, and then get at it with the mentors and the teams, building up the next level of strategy and pitch for the companies. We want to say thank you to our community supporters who have been helping us out with the prize pool, in-kind and cash prizes to help us reward the students for their journey at the other end. And all of them are greatly appreciated. I'll give a shout out to the City of Toronto and the Consul General of India in Toronto, who have been incredible supporters. Startup India, of course, and Invest India, who we could not do the program without. Their teams have been phenomenal in terms of all the hard work behind the scenes putting this together, and it's really amazing to work with them, across the world to make something like this happen. Hopefully next year we'll be meeting in person and hanging out as well too, but it's great to get to know many of them online. So moving right along, we will also give a shout out to our resource partners who are providing special offers and services and packages to the companies in the program. AWS for Startups, Stackbee, and Zoho for Startups. Zoho for Startups joined us at our bootcamp and did a fantastic training session as well too. So with that, I'm going to turn it over back to my co-host, Suyash, and ask for the introduction of our first awesome VIP guest speaker this morning.
Thank you so much, Chris. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Priya Rawat. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Invest India, the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency promoted by the Government of India. She has had an extensive experience in consulting in policy making and impact assessment. She holds an MBA from the University School of Management Studies. And I think most of all, she has made foundational contributions to the building of the Invest India team and to each of its different aspects. Ma'am, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this event. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Suyash, and thank you, Chris, for that wonderful introduction. And a very good morning to everyone joining from Canada, and a very good evening to friends from India. It is indeed our pleasure to be hosting this opening ceremony today, and I thank our partners, the Schulich School of Business. Canada has been a very special partner for India. India and Canada have successfully established connections on different fronts. The first one has been very close to my heart, which is the Investment Connect. Canada is ranked amongst the top 20 investors in India. Several Canadian companies are now looking at investing in India. We have seen increased interest from these companies, especially in sectors that were mentioned earlier by Chris, including energy, IT, food processing, construction, textiles, IT, and pharma. This is basis the FDI that is coming into India. But however, if you look at the investments that are coming from the financial investors, the rank of Canada would be much higher than 20. We have over 600 Canadian companies operating in India, and over 1,000 Indian companies that have found a home in Canada. The second connection that we have between India and Canada is the People's Connect. Last year, India had sent over 183,000 students to Canada, and we have more than 1.6 million people of Indian origin in Canada. In fact, Canada hosts the 7th largest Indian community overseas. Now, the third connection that we have recently established is the Startup Connect. And this partnership, like others, is growing stronger. Let me first quickly give you an update on the startup ecosystem in India. As Suyash had mentioned that our startup is full of innovation and enthusiasm, and the government has been laying special stress on building this ecosystem. We are now hosting the third largest startup ecosystem. In fact, there are 765 districts in India. Of these, 662 districts have given a startup. So what I'm saying is that the story of startups is not just coming from the tier 1 or the metro cities. It is also coming, and the story is now happening in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and also the villages in India. And the story is not limited to a few certain sectors. We have startups solving problems in 56 diverse industry sectors.
Priya, you have to unmute your mic.
Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was saying that we are not only the third largest startup ecosystem, we are also the third largest unicorn nation in the world, with 107 unicorns valued at $340 billion. Startups now in India, on an average, are taking less than 7 years to become a unicorn. Now, in order to strengthen the India-Canada startup ecosystem, Invest India launched the Startup Bridge between the two countries. This bridge enables startups, investors, incubators, corporates, and aspiring entrepreneurs of both countries to connect. And this event, Together 2023, that we are flagging off today, is another such initiative that is going to be strengthening the startup bond between the two countries. And as we've heard, the earlier 2 editions of Together 2023 have been so successful. We are hoping, and we are looking forward to another third successful edition. And I'm confident that this program being launched today will link startups to diverse opportunities, access global markets in Canada and India. And this collaboration is a very positive step towards strengthening the growing network of India-Canada startup ecosystem. I congratulate to the qualifying teams. I wish them the very best for this competition. And I thank everyone who has joined us today. Thank you. And once again, welcome to all.
Thanks so much for taking the time to join us this morning, Priya. We really appreciate it. We're so excited by the growth that we're seeing in India, as you said, the number of unicorns, but also one thing I've just been so impressed by is the constant commitment to finding a real impact across all communities, into all regions, in terms of really working with female founders. It's been great to see, and we've been very aligned on that. Your team here with Startup India and all the people at Invest India have been so supportive, and we just want to say thank you for building such a great relationship and continuing to strengthen the bond between our two countries. And we appreciate your time today. Thank you. So, Suresh, before we go to the next session, I just want to give a shout out as well to all the people that are watching the broadcast today on YouTube and LinkedIn and Instagram and all the different channels. Big shout out to everyone there. You're not with us in the Zoom room, but we appreciate all of you for checking it out and learning more about the program. And with that, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our next guest.
Thanks a lot, Chris. So our next guest is Mr. Gaurav Gupta. He's the Chief Commercial Officer at MG Motor India. He completely oversees the entire go-to-market strategy for the brand in the entire country. His experience spans more than 25 years, and he has served as the CEO of Bridgestone Tires Indonesia, as well as the MD of General Motors in Vietnam and Indonesia. He has worked on a wide range of activities ranging from brand building right up to performance improvement in multiple automotive companies in India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, China, and West Asia. Sir, you bring a very rich body of experience with you, and I think the candidates will gain a lot from your words. It is my pleasure to welcome you, sir. The floor is all yours.
Hey, thank you so much, and hello everybody. I guess probably makes me oldest in the entire team over here today, online as well. So, but I must say that this is a very, very good experience, and I think the winners from the boot camp. I want to share some things with you, which are going to be which should inspire you even more. What are those? Look at the Indian automotive industry today. That's where I come from. The Indian automotive industry today is sitting at about 4.2 million units all put together in four-wheelers and commercial vehicles, out of which roughly 3.8 or 4 million are just passenger cars. This is expected to grow at a phenomenal rate over the next 7 years. And I'll give you the numbers, but look at the electric vehicle penetration right now. We are barely less than 5%. And this is going to go up to right up to 30% of the entire industry. So there's a lot of growth that is happening in India. And this has just happened over the last 5 years where the momentum has just picked up. The growth over the last 2 years has been at 20% plus. So that just tells you what is the base we are looking at, right? Increasingly, what's happening now is the technologies that are coming in is really, really going to be exciting for all of you. The Western world, our friends in Canada, of course, you all are exposed to vehicles with a lot of connectivity and autonomous, but that same element is now coming to India as well. And in fact, I would like to say that the amount of technology coming in the cars in the next 3 years or 5 years is going to be cumulatively much more than all the last 50 years put together. So both the automotive players, the stakeholders, the government, everyone is coming together to really propel this forward. And while this is important for all of you, this entire new era is not just about autonomous vehicles or connected vehicles or electric vehicles and shared vehicles. We call it CASE, C-A-S-E, Connected, Autonomous, Shared, and Electric. But to make this possible, the large OEMs, the large erstwhile players really need all of the young startup minds. They need youngsters to really bring that differentiation, that speed, that agility, the entire openness to grasp new technology, bring in applications. And that is where the magic will happen. I want to share with you that at MG, one of our core pillars is, of course, about innovation, but beyond our own company as well, across the industry, the rise of startups, and we just heard, from Ms. Rawat also about the unicorn space in the country. It is just so exciting. We have ourselves interacted with close to about 1,450, so roughly 1,500 startups in just 3 years in the areas, whether it is blockchain, whether it's machine learning, artificial intelligence, you name the technology, and we've been working with all of them. And some of them, we've been putting them in our cars as well as in our consumer-facing experience, whether it is a charging ecosystem, whether it's a charge management system. It is so exciting. And all of these technologies, I would say most of them are coming from young startup minds. And all companies, whether it is an MG today or someone else, we are all open to the ideas that are coming from all of you. So I want to just leave this, give you a very brief introduction that the platform is here for you all to really explore, dabble. 4 million units, approximately 4.2 is just in this last 2022. This will grow up Electric vehicles are going to be 30% of our industry in the next 7 years. The range of products in electric vehicles will be humongously growing faster. From 5 today, it will go to multiples of 10s in the near future. We are seeing all the concept cars, production-ready cars as well. Technologies of plug-in, technologies of hydrogen are all being explored as well. And the other ecosystem I talked about. And all of this, the platform, I would say, and here compliments to Startup India, I would say, under the overall umbrella of DPPIT, 600,000 plus community of startups really is the right way to go forward. And now with all of you coming together. So I want to just leave you with this thought that go for it, try a new venture, dabble with the new technology, look at either a B2B, B2C, whatever it is. Don't hold yourself back from trying something new. The market is huge. The market will offer you enough opportunity to dabble, to fail, to rise again, and maybe fail again, but keep trying. It's a very, very exciting world out there. And with that, I want to say an excellent experience of the bootcamp. Congratulations to all of you, and back to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Gaurav, thank you for joining us today and taking away a couple things from your words. One, it's so exciting. The next 3 years of tech and automotive more than the last 50 years combined. And it's just wonderful to see you welcoming young people into that opportunity, into that message. As you said, that so much of that technology will come from young minds, young startup minds, like the people we have here with us today, and that you're welcoming them to dabble, fail, and try again and keep going. Great words, great messages, and I hope everybody takes that in. Also impressed to see MG Motor India and other corporates in India so leaned into participating in the startup community and developing these kinds of partnerships. So thanks again, and hope you have a great rest of your evening. Okay, Suyash, with that, we're over to you for the next introduction. But before we do that, let's jump in for a sec on a couple other quick things. First, we wanted to take some time just to acknowledge that we had National Startup Day just last week, and it was a big moment for the country and for your group. And maybe a couple thoughts from you on what that meant and the importance of that this year.
Absolutely, Chris, and thank you so much for asking me that. Right, let me just take you back around 6 years. Let's turn the calendar back around 6 years. India was a fairly young, potent population. We were very capable of innovation. We had a very high risk appetite. But if you looked around, the understanding that people had of what a business is supposed to be was still fairly parochial. So, I mean, startups, unicorns, these were not words used in common parlance, right? And we started our journey there. That's when the government felt a need to have a program that is dedicated to the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country. And that's when on 16th of January, 2016, the Startup India program was launched. And as I mentioned earlier, I mean, it's been a very, very, very engaging, a very interesting and a very learning 7 years, right? We've grown 20x. We've grown to we're almost about to reach 100,000 startups, registered startups in the country. And to give you an idea of what that really looks like, right? That looks like going to tier 2, tier 3 cities, because understand that these are not startups coming only from the metro cities, only from Mumbai's or Bangalore's or Delhi. These are startups, almost 50% of which are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities in India. And I think that's where we create synergies with the Together program as well, right? When we create the National Startup Awards, when we celebrate the National Startup Day, we're looking for startups that actually have solutions to the problems that the people are facing. And I think that's why we synergize so well. So yeah, I think 7 years done, looking forward to 70 more, but yeah, off to a very good start.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, and congratulations on those celebrations last week. And I know they brought a lot of attention and conversation around where to go next and how to keep building from there. So next, I'm excited to introduce our first guest alumni from York University and the Schulich School of Business, Richa Gupta. And Richa is the president and founder of Good Food for Good and Turmeric Teas. She has a rich background in the food business. She worked for General Mills in marketing with brands such as Fiber One and many others. And before that, she was in sales management and buying for a fashion retailer. But At one point in her life journey, she had the entrepreneurial inspiration moment, and she was taking her MBA at the Schulich School of Business. She learned a couple of really interesting things in some of the entrepreneurial courses and different classes, and she had the inspiration to create Good Food for Good. Her business, which works on creating a whole brand across the country now of organic ketchup and sauces made without sugar, much healthier for all of us. And I am a customer myself. It's in my fridge. And so far has also been able to donate 250,000 meals plus growing. That number is going bigger and bigger every day. And Richa is a proud alumni of the Schulich School of Business and has been a great supporter with our programs, including the Together series. So Richa, welcome this morning. And I'm sure the students and everyone who's watching would love to hear a few of your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm just so honored. Like every time you invite me to be part of the community, it's just such a pleasure. So I'm so honored to be here today at the opening ceremony of Together 2023. I would love to congratulate all of you, all the top 22 teams for making it here. And I'm super, super excited for you. I'm also really moved by this year's theme of inspiring you to create innovative solutions that aim to improve people's lives while addressing areas of national and global importance. It's a very important topic for me because when I started my journey as a social entrepreneur, I went through a similar thought process in creating Good Food for Good. I wanted to create something that made a difference in the world. It started with trying to find a solution to my own need of feeding my daughter food that's nourishing, delicious, and didn't take me an hour to prepare. I'm sure many women or men who ever cook in the kitchen or parents would relate to that problem. But today I can say with pride that Good Food for Good has delivered on all its promises. Through our award-winning products that we sell across North America, not just Canada, we've been able to make a positive difference in lives of many. We made it easy and delicious for people to enjoy healthy diet. We were able to avoid sugar worth 19 million cookies from the diets of our consumers. And we don't even make cookies. That just tells you how much sugar is in things that are not cookies. And we have been able to donate over 1.5 million meals to people in need, alongside avoiding 1.5 million plastic bottles from going to landfill. We made a positive difference in 3 sustainable development goals with just one idea. I feel India and Canada are both primed for innovation and will receive immense support from government and private institutions alike. We need entrepreneurs now more than ever to solve the big challenges faced by humanity. And I wish you all the best and want to leave you with this one last note. Despite the result of this competition, I want all of you to know that you all are winners. You will have a solution in your hands that could change the world. And now it's up to you to do what you want to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Risha, for your words. Where do I even begin? Starting from organic, healthy foods, 1.5 million meals. The world really needs more of you. The world really needs many, many more Richa Gupta. So thank you so much for giving us your time. And I think what a lot of students will take away from this is that startup is not just a business. It's a story that needs to create that kind of an impact. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I think as I said, we need more people thinking about problems beyond the problem that just brings money, right? That's why I'm blown away by the topic of this year's competition, because it means a lot to me.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks, Richa. And just while we're waiting for our next guest to reconnect on the line, I thought I would take the moment just to also thank you, but ask you another quick follow-up question. So while you've been building this business, you made the leap to go from corporate to entrepreneurship. You took together a bunch of lessons from your time at Schulich at the business school. Now that you look back on a more personal note, Would you have it any other way? What is it that you can say to these young people about your life now, and what it means to you to be in this place, since you've had the experience of both? Many of them have not yet had that experience of both worlds. But when you look at those two worlds, what does it mean to you to be doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. I think entrepreneurship, or I would just say life, like we all have very personal journeys to where we start and where we end up being. For me, I had to kiss few frogs to find my prince in terms of where I feel fulfilled. Throughout my career, whether it was fashion or working at General Mills, I felt incomplete till I found Good Food for Good. I almost say I think Good Food for Good helped me find me versus me finding Good Food for Good, because this business is not just business for me. It's a way of living for me. It's my purpose. It's something that completes me. It's something that gives me meaning, gives my life meaning. And that was something that was missing in my career throughout. I always felt, that there's something, and I was making good money. As Chris said, I did MBA. I was in corporate. I worked at General Mills in marketing. It's a very coveted job after you finish your MBA. And I still felt so empty doing that, because I was not feeling I'm doing something that's making a positive difference in the world. I was doing glamorous advertising, stuff that we all really enjoy. I still enjoy that stuff, but I would love to do, I wanted to do it for something that made a bigger impact. And I felt Good Food for Good allowed me to do that. It allowed me to not just do the business side of things and marketing side of things, but also continue to make an impact in a real problem that exists. And yeah, that's what I would like to say. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's the message we were looking for. And we're so excited because now what we've seen over the first 2 years of this program is that now we have amazing people with their businesses 2 years out that are building, growing, and making that wider impact. And they themselves are looking back and reflecting and saying like, hey, this is the best decision that I ever made. So thanks for sharing that message and joining us today. And with that, we'll continue on to our next special guest. Have a great rest of your day, Richa.
Thank you.
Next, we're excited to welcome Mr. Naaman Badeo, a general partner at Antler Canada. And Antler Canada is a fantastic accelerator and investment fund for startups, inception stage startups here in Canada, but part of a worldwide global organization, Antler Global, which includes a very prominent chapter in India with Antler India as well too. Naaman has co-founded multiple businesses in travel technology, including Flight Network and TripStack. And Flight Network is one of Canada's largest online travel agencies with a team of over 600 people and 7 offices and generating over $1 billion in sales as well too. So Naaman is built a company from the very beginning stages all the way to the significant scale, and now has turned his hand and his heart and his energy to working with all of these young entrepreneurs in Canada who are going through their own journey. So we're really pleased and honored to have him join us today and share some thoughts with the group. Naaman, welcome to the table.
Great. Thank you, Chris. As Rika said, it's really been an honor to be part of the Together program. And to speak to you today, and really thankful for that. So this is my 3rd year participating with Together. It's something I really look forward to this time of year. In my first year, I was a mentor. I was a mentor to a company called Rix. The founders had created a better brick made of 100% recycled materials. The brick was lighter, stronger, and more waterproof than the traditional brick. The founders in Together 21 started with a very simple deck without a mission statement, without really clearly defining, what they were doing and stating the real problem they were solving, the potential problems with original bricks, what it does for pollution, what it does for the environment. And it was amazing to see that first deck that they created in their first presentation. And then a week later, they finished not only with my coaching for myself, but with my Indian counterpart mentor, and the work of the Schulich MBA students to really help the founders. Really quality work, completely changed the presentation significantly in 1 week. So much so that Rick's ended up finishing second in the entire competition. And that was my first experience with Together. And I'm still connected with those founders and following their progress with Rick's. Last year, I had the pleasure of being part of the judging team with a mix of judges from Canada and India. And what was really interesting is the founders were solving some really big problems, such as weather prediction, career opportunities for disabled individuals, and sustainable workwear. The 6 finalists really made it difficult on the judges, as all 6 could be deserving winners. We had a really tough time. There could only be one winner, and it was Bugol, who's, I believe, speaking to you later today. So I wanted to say congratulations as well to the top 22 teams for their journey up to this point. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your ideas and meeting some of the founders as part of Together 2023. Chris told you a little bit about, my entrepreneurial journey. I feel it almost started when I was 4 years old. I was born in Kenya. My parents decided to emigrate from Kenya to Canada when I was 4 years old. So my family and myself were of Indian descent, we're Gujarati. But I feel like, for myself at least, Canada gave me a lot of opportunities to, be an entrepreneur. One of the things we look for now that I'm wearing my venture capital hat and we're doing that is we look for something called founder market fit. Does the founder really understand the industry they're in? And I happen to build all 4 of my companies in the travel technology space. And it's because my mother grew up in the travel space. She started as a travel agent, then bought a travel agency and turned it into a big B2B travel company. So during high school or university, I used to work at that travel company. So I really understood the travel space, specifically the flight space. And so, I really had that founder market fit. I was able to create a company called Flight Network with 700 people, half of those team members in Canada, half in India. We started our first office in Ahmedabad, and then we had an office in Mumbai and an office in Pune as well. And I really enjoyed being one team and how we worked together, from technology to customer service to marketing between Canada and India. We was able to also start a second company called TripStack, which I founded while Flight Network was in play. And that was a B2B company. So really understand B2C and B2B when talking to founders. And that company put together flights from airlines that didn't work together to find cheaper flights for different individuals. I was fortunate to be able to sell both those companies in August 2019 to a large private equity company in Europe, and continue to stay on. That's where after 20 years of being an entrepreneur, decided to wear a different hat. And as Chris was talking about, joined Antler. And Antler's not any VC. It's really that very first point of investment. So we say we institutionalize the friends and family round. And so we're not actually looking so much at businesses or corporate, early tech startups, but we're looking for individual founders. And as Chris mentioned, there's a Antler India as well in Bangalore, run by 2 great entrepreneurs, Nitin Sharma and Rajiv. And they've made over 35 investments into Indian companies as well. And it's usually that first investment, the help that they can provide. The interesting part about Antler is that we've now backed 13 companies in Canada. And it's really interesting, but 67% of our founders, and we have 50 to 60 founders every cohort twice a year, have been immigrants, and many from India as well. So it's just interesting, the entrepreneurial spirit that we see from immigrants, especially India, even in the Antler Canada program. So when thinking about entrepreneurship, one of the things that we feel is that technology makes the world a better place, whether it be to live longer, to make life easier, to make things more convenient, whatever it is, we believe technology makes the world a better place. And we think the world needs more founders. So just in North America alone, there were 7,700 companies started last year. And if you say 2 founders per company, that's only 15,000 founders who were funded in North America last year. And founders are essential to solve unique problems. It's hard being a founder. It's also hard being a doctor or professional athlete, but in those fields, spots are fixed. There's only so many spots in the NBA or a residency, but there is no limit on founders. It's very difficult to quit your job, say goodbye to your income, goodbye to your benefits, burn through your savings. And then you're trying to build, you have 1,000 questions. There's 1,000 different pieces of advice on the internet contradicting each other on how to build your business. And, you're usually keeping your costs low. So you're working from home. So you're alone or with a co-founder. And, we understand that, at Antler, how tough it is to build a business, and all the founders here and the top 22, especially how tough it is. So we really put a shout out to, the amount of effort that takes. And it's something that we also believe in at Antler. So again, looking forward to being a judge and a participant with Together 21. Congratulations for all the founders for making it to this point. And thank you for the opportunity to participate again. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much, Naman. Just your own entrepreneurial journey itself is so inspiring. But to add to that, your dedication to incubating the entrepreneurial ecosystem in both these countries, in India as well as in Canada, including your association with Together for the last 3 years. And then to also add to that, the expertise that you bring in, right? When you talked about the founder market fit and its importance in the VC ecosystem. I think it's very hard to find a better guide for startups at the stage that they're in than you, Naman. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Naman, just before we let you go and get to our next guest, a couple of really quick questions. One, tell us a little bit, since you've got all the teams here today, the 22, when you looked at both Rick's or other of the teams that made it to the top, what do you think really separated them? Like when you were looking at them, what do you think that they did really well? You told us how far they came during the very short period of time. What do you think were a couple of the key things that they were able to achieve that really made the judges, open their eyes and say, these are the guys we want? Because I'm sure the teams would appreciate hearing that today.
Yeah, I think one of the things we look for is curiosity. And when I say curiosity is do they really understand the problem? And so we're really impressed when the founders really understand the problem they're looking to solve. So they know so much more than the investor they're pitching to or the audience or the judge they're pitching to. So when they really understand that problem, and that means not only just academically or research it, but they've spoken to everybody in the space. They've spoken to all their potential customers, suppliers, and they really have found, so I talked about founder market fit, now we're talking about product market fit, that they've really understood that this is a big problem. And you can start with an idea, but that they've really validated it with real customers who are going to pay to solve that problem, in a for-profit scenario. So that's definitely the key thing that we look for. Even at Antler, we don't need you to write any code or build an MVP, but just really prove that it is a big problem to solve. So the curiosity they have around the problem, really understanding it.
Great. Okay, that's perfect. A good tip. I hope everyone wrote that one down and really lean into that one as you're going through the next stages of the program. The other thing I thought you could, comment on quickly for the group as well too, and I've heard you came to our class remotely to the MBA in India program, and we talked about some of these things. The keys from your perspective to really getting the most out of the mentor-mentee relationship in the program, and I mean if you're speaking to the teams, what's the key in terms of how you arrive in those meetings and the approach you take to those meetings with you as a mentor? Because they've got some power-packed, leaders that are coming in to work with them. What would be your, a couple tips that you would say, think about when you're working with the mentors and observing their time?
Yeah, what I like to do is it's very early stages, or you could be at different stages of your business. So trying to break it down into, yes, where the end goal is, where you want to be, but then trying to break it down just into the next few months. What are we going to accomplish in the next few months? So even when in a mentor-mentee relationship, we do this, but we also meet with the companies we invest in weekly, and we really try to break down, what did you accomplish last week? What are you going to accomplish this week? And what did you learn? So just trying to break it down into smaller chunks on what they would like to accomplish, and setting those goals and putting stretch goals in what they want to accomplish each week. So break it down in a short term, what they're going to do, mixed with a long-term vision.
Wonderful. Okay, Naman, thanks for your time today. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Appreciate all the other roles that you're going to play as we continue along in the program and your wonderful work in the Canadian innovation ecosystem. So thanks. And with that, we'll welcome our next guest to the room. And we have Myra Ashad. Now, our next awesome York University Schulich School of Business alumni. And Myra is a BBA from 2018 and a top 30 under 30 York University honoree, just named a year ago. Myra is the co-founder and CEO of AltTex, a biomaterial startup creating circular textiles re-engineered from food waste, which I have always thought is the coolest thing that we have that we're working on in so many ways. She's coming from a family background in textile manufacturing and is dedicated to radically disrupting the unethical and unsustainable 2.5 trillion fashion industry. Myra, welcome to the stage here this morning, and we're excited to hear your words and what you have to say to the teams.
Awesome. Hi, Chris, and hi, everyone else. It's really great to be here. Really awesome to be a small part of this event. I'm very passionate about really just spreading our entrepreneurship to all corners of the world. So it's great that we can connect Canada to India and just have this program where we're sharing so many resources globally. So I have about 15 minutes here to just chat with you all about really anything that I wanted to. And the topic that I chose is about being resourceful. And the reason I chose that topic is because recognizing that many of the folks in this room are folks that may not have the exact same opportunities as, you know, your typical tech bro sitting in San Francisco who has access to every top tier VC in the world. We have to do things a little bit differently. So I'll kind of chat about how we did that and where it took us. But before I do that, I'll tell you a little bit about the company and speak on a couple other things really quickly. So I'm Myra. I'm the co-founder and CEO of AltTex. As Chris said, we're a biomaterial startup, and we're creating a biodegradable and carbon neutral alternative to polyester that's re-engineered from food waste. Fashion is one of the most polluting industries on the planet, creates 10% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. But really to the core of that is a material that 60% of this entire room is wearing today, and that's polyester. Polyester is basically just plastic. It's this petroleum and fossil fuel-based material that's creating 55 million annual tons of landfill waste, uses 4% of the world's oil. And you really can't get rid of polyester. It's been around, it's going to continue to be around in the atmosphere for thousands and thousands of years. We need polyester, however, since 60% of clothes, because we as people love its performance. So we're trying to replace that and bring that performance and scale that we love about polyester by leveraging, rather than very scarce resources like petroleum, leveraging very abundant resources like food waste that we haven't quite tapped into. So we have a patent pending food to fermentation process that starts with landfill dust and food waste. We ferment it into a polyester-like bioplastic, and that resulting plastic can actually plug straight into polyester's existing manufacturing system, where it's then converted into fabric for sale to fashion brands. So we've been at this for about 2.5 years now, and so far we've created the actual end-to-end product. So we actually have a shirt that is made of food waste that looks and feels very much like polyester. We've raised about $3 million, over a couple million in grant funding now, grown the team to about 10 people. And so as you can see, as I'm telling the story, we're tackling a very large and complex and hard to solve problem with very limited resources, but we've somehow been able to do that successfully so far. And so I'm going to talk about how our mindset as a team and our resourcefulness kind of got us there. Before I do that, I obviously want to acknowledge that while I'm saying that we as a group have some unique barriers, I do want to acknowledge that there are certain groups that have specific barriers, such as Indigenous and Black people and other minorities that we don't quite fit into. So just want to pause for a second there and acknowledge that there are other people out there that we should continue to help, because there are barriers beyond what we've experienced out there. All right, so how did we do it? We kind of started with nothing but an idea, and we had to find the resources for us to put together and turn into an actual company. The first way we did that was joining as many incubators as we possibly could. So this program is a great example of that. I know it's not quite an incubator, but there are many incubators that are within your access that you can join. We've done every incubator we could get our hands on, from Next 36, that was our first one, to Creative Destruction Lab, to Y Combinator, to Mars. Like, we've done them all. And there's kind of an unpopular opinion about incubators, because you don't want to get trapped in the incubator cycle where you continue to feel like a startup. But if somebody is giving you resources and access to some of the largest net worth individuals in the world, you need to take that. So in the beginning, we got our first kind of check by doing these incubators. And we had this highly technical problem, and we didn't really have a lab or the technical infrastructure to solve it. And so the way we approached that was we ended up just reaching out and calling up, I think, over 50 professors, all within Ontario, which is where we're located. And we basically convinced them to take on our research without our ability to pay them in the beginning. We convinced them with something that was incentivizing to them, which was a grant at the end of the process. And we said, hey, if you just try this hypothesis with us, this is what we'll work towards. So whenever you're trying to find resources, you want to understand the other side of that resource and what is compelling them, what puts food on their table, what are they motivated by, and try to offer that to them as well. Because in the beginning, you really can't just be asking for a bunch of favors. So we did that, and we got into 2 labs where we were able to take this hypothesis that we had created through a bunch of literary research that we had been doing while we were in school and while we were in our own jobs. And we were able to put that into a lab environment where it was technically validated by some of the top professors in the space. And in doing so, we were basically able to get in there, take a bunch of pictures of our technology, and really demonstrate it visually. Instead of just pitching to people through a deck, we were able to show photos of things progressing. So that's kind of how we conceptualized it. Then we were like, okay, we have a product, we have a prototype that's validated, we need money. And no VC is really going to give you, when you're solving a very highly technical problem, money on just that amount of validation. So the second kind of step in our process was trying to get government grant funding. But the challenge there is, as a company, when you're getting these, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 grants, there's a lot that you have to have accomplished under your belt, none of which we did. So what the second message there is that don't let these artificial rules turn you off. Instead of waiting for us to be ready to apply to those grants, we just submitted basically a case as to why we should be allowed to apply, even though we met none of the criteria. And so we got responses from some of these government bodies that basically said, maybe, but we need you to submit an application to submit the application. So they made us go through this extra process to basically prove why we may be applicable even to apply to this grant. So we did that, we got through, then we applied to the grant and we got through. And really the learning there is there are so many resources out there that you just need to ask for. And they may have these artificial kind of either mental barriers or actual tangible barriers that prevent you from doing it, but just try to make your case anyway and ask, and you never know where that's going to get you. So we got some grant funding. We continued to move into prototyping. And at this point, we were really progressing the product. We were creating yarns. We had fibers. In the middle of that, COVID shut down, but we really used that time to explore the market and stuck around and continued. Then we got to a stage where we were pretty much wrapping up all these incubators, and we were like, okay, well, this felt like kind of a project so far. And with these incubators kind of out of the way, it's difficult to have kind of a continuity plan. Like, how do we actually run this as a company now? How do we start to pay ourselves? How do we recruit a team? So after leaving some of those kind of that project phase of it, we started to apply to specific programs that have a objective to introduce you to VCs, because we knew raising money was our next step. Creative Destruction Lab is a great example of this. We applied to a lot of these and we just started getting rejections. We got to a point where we were more than just an idea, we were a science. And so the caliber you needed to get into these things was just at a whole other level. We continued to get rejected. And the second kind of, or the third kind of learning there, once again, is don't take no for an answer. When we got rejected, we would reach out to basically the founders of these incubators and we would say, hey, here's why you should let us in. And here's how the resources that you have can be leveraged by us. And here's where it'll take us. And in doing that, we actually got into an incubator that we got rejected from that ended up being the main reason that we were able to raise our capital. So now we're at this position where we're going through this incubator and we're in a position where we're able to raise capital. Once again, we were extremely resourceful here in how we did that. So what a lot of people will do is kind of the normal venture capital process where you reach out to a bunch of VCs and you do the VC game. What we did instead was we really tried to understand what it is that VCs were interested in and tried to build vested interest over a long period of time. So months before we were fundraising, we were talking to VCs and saying, hey, we're a young startup. We know you're great at this. Can you help us kind of think about this problem? And almost treating them as mentors so that they could see things that VCs wouldn't be able to see when they're looking at you from the lens of a company that's pitching. Right. So we wanted to show them that we're coachable, that we've thought of really critical problems, that we have issues, but this is how we're going to solve them so that they could get all the right signals before we even pitch to them. And so as we built that relationship, we finally got to a point where people were starting to ask us if we were raising money. And so we really use that signal to then progress and actually shift those conversations to mentorship-like relationships to actual pitching conversations or relationships in the form of actual venture capital and running a formal VC process. And that's kind of how we were able to raise our seed round. So we raised about 1.5 million in that first round. And once again, it was all through resourcefulness and really understanding what the other side of the coin wants. We went into this process with zero VC connections, not knowing anything about the startup world. And the only way we were able to do it was just extreme resourcefulness and extreme almost desperation and not showing it, but desperation in the form of if we got a no, we figured out how to turn that no into a yes very quickly. So I'll leave with that message once again, just tying that all together with the fact that you guys are in a position where India is absolutely a massive ecosystem for startup culture, but it's not San Francisco yet. And so you're going to be equipped with challenges that, once again, that tech bro sitting in SF selling software simply does not have. And the only way that people like me and you can overcome that is by challenging the system and demanding the resources rather than waiting for them to be given to us. I'll pause there and just kind of quickly wrap up with, as you're doing that, just one other thing to keep in mind is we don't all have to build companies that are creating fabric from food waste. You don't need to create a company that can, potentially solve a global climate problem or even an impact-oriented problem. But as you're building your companies, if you're not building impact organizations, make sure that you're trying to integrate impact into them, whether it's in the diversity through which you hire, the environmental practices that your operations and your buildings take up, the philanthropy that you choose. There's ways that your business can create more positive than negative. And if every business just did that, our world would be in a far, far better place. So that's the kind of mentality that we as a generation need to kind of think about. So with that, I'll wrap up. And once again, I hope some of these words made sense. I'm really thankful to have been a small part of this. And if anyone needs to reach out, email would be best. My LinkedIn is a mess. Don't try that. But it was great being here. Thank you so much. And thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much, Myra. I think to begin with the first-hand experience that you've shared with the students, right, of what it takes to build a startup, starting from scratch and taking it to an end product, right, and going through the VC ecosystem and what that looks like in reality from a young startup's perspective, and not just discussing the successes that you've faced through this journey, but also the rejections and how to deal with them. I think you're one of the most relatable true inspirations for the crowd that we have with us today. And the impact that you've been creating, food to fashion, just goes to show the kind of radical changes that you can bring about and the scale of problems that can be solved. So really, really thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Myra. See you soon. Next up, we're excited to welcome Lisa Phillips to the stage. And Lisa is the Provost and VP Academic for York University. I know she's going to be proud of our last speaker, Myra, as a top 30 under 30 at York University. And she's here to share her words and greetings with the whole group. Lisa was appointed Provost and VP Academic in 2018, and she has just been appointed to an additional 5-year term, which we're all very excited about as we benefit from her leadership and her insights and her energy at the university. Professor Phillips joined York in 1996 and is a professor of law at Osgoode Hall Law School. And she is a leader in higher education policy and law, and really has been someone who has challenged us as a university to think about ways to be more creative and innovative, and has been an inspiration to the faculty and to the students. So welcome, Professor Phillips. We're excited to have you here with us today and to hear your thoughts for the group.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I am thrilled to be here and absolutely glowing with pride, and also learning a ton from listening to the other speakers. It's my privilege to really welcome and congratulate everyone who's here, and to convey very warm greetings on behalf of York University and our president, Dr. Rhonda Lenton, who is a huge fan of this program and really quite disappointed that she could not be here herself today. Thank you so much to all the dignitaries and the participants who have supported Together 2023. It's a signature initiative for York University. We believe strongly in supporting future entrepreneurs and the positive change that they can bring to communities here in Canada and around the world. And we are also thankful for the special relationship that exists between India and the Schulich School of Business. You all are aware of the MBA Schulich in India campus, but we're also very proud that Ratan Tata, Chairman Emeritus of one of India's largest conglomerates and a global leader in corporate social responsibility, received an honorary Doctor of Laws from York University through the Schulich School of Business and has continued to collaborate with the school. Together is a standout example of how our partnerships can help us to write the future. This year's theme is really inspiring: self-reliability, sustainability, and social purpose. And I want to congratulate the top qualifying teams. You've demonstrated already why you are fit to become the next generation of impactful innovators, and I'm truly excited to see the startup concepts that emerge from this program. Supporting entrepreneurship is a core value at York, and Chris is the embodiment of that in so many ways. You may know that we have an incubator accelerator called Y Space, which is a hub for entrepreneurs and international startup businesses, supporting 179 startup ventures, generating almost $20 million in annual revenue. And it has a program within it called ELA, Entrepreneurship, Leadership and Learning Alliance, and it's the province of Ontario's first woman-focused business accelerator. So we believe strongly in harnessing the power of entrepreneurs, of student entrepreneurs, and their ability to do amazing things to change the world. This program that you're participating in is one of the best places that you can put your skills to the test. And it is inspiring to me because it shows how universities and companies and governments can get together and build bridges in this space around the world. York, I want to tell you a couple more things about why this initiative is so important to York. We've always been about global thinking. We have encouraged our students always to take a global view, to gain the international fluencies, to work locally, to work across borders towards a better future. Moreover, we are also very committed to tackling some of the world's most tough challenges and to make progress on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We are very proud that in the 2022 Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, York University ranked in the top 10 universities globally for our work in sustainable cities and communities and for supporting peace, justice, and strong institutions. We were also #1 in Canada and 21st globally for supporting gender equality. And we were able to achieve all that because of our community's collective commitment to change and partnering with individuals and organizations around the world who have the same kind of vision for making a better future. I want to again thank the supporters, the mentors, the sponsors who have helped make Together 2023 happen. It all relies on you, and I want to thank very much the student volunteers from the Schulich School of Business and the Lassonde School of Engineering at York University, whose talent and global perspectives are a driving force behind this program. And last but not least, a warm thank you to Startup India for being such an outstanding partner for York University. I am very excited, can't wait to see what we create together. And thank you for inviting me to say a few words. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your experience, your contributions to academia, I think they're truly, truly inspirational. I think you mentioned the focus on global thinking and the focus on gender equality, right? The Ella program, Women's Entrepreneurship. Ma'am, I think you have truly shown the participants today what the leaders of tomorrow can look like. In you, they will find a true example of what kind of a leader they should be. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your words.
Thank you, Lisa. Have a great rest of your day, and we appreciate you joining us. Well, now, next up, we come to our final speakers of the day, and then we'll have a quick little closing note. We're excited to bring last year's champions, so lean in and listen teams from this year. The 22 of you really want to hear what these guys have to say. Welcome to Kartik and Rahul, founders of Begol, and they are our last year's champions, as we said. Innovative entrepreneurs with a deep passion for technology and business from the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore. And they co-founded 2 Decimal Private Limited associated with Begol. They have an interesting technology and an interesting journey, and we're excited to hear more about it today and for them to share it with you. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's great to see you always.
Great
to
see, yeah, great to see you too.
Yeah,
and welcome to Rahul. We've got him on video now as well, so we're excited to hear what you guys have to say.
All right, perfect. Thank you. First of all, congratulations to top 22 qualifying teams, I guess, this time.
Yes, 22 teams. Yep.
Amazing, amazing. Congratulations to all of you for making it through. Together is a very, very, very different competition. I guess I participated in more than like 10-15 competition till now, but your journey for Together is going to be life changing, I'll tell you guys. So that's why I really wanted to congratulate you in the very beginning only. Our experience of first of all, I'll just give my quick introduction. So me and Rahul were working since college. We started working on a technology which was very different, very unique compared to what other people were doing specifically in the meteorological sector. So created a specific device that could use your digital TV signals, your Dish TV, Tata Sky, or for the Indian people, Tata Sky we use that data to make weather predictions available to local people, local and rural people all over India. So we were as precise as we were going to announce, okay, it's going to rain at 10:15 at your location. It will rain at 10:15 at that particular location. So that is what our technology is. And we came with that technology in Together 2022. And with the help of our mentors, with the help of our teammates from Schulich, we were able to grab the first position in Together. So this particular competition is going to be really, really helpful for you guys. Consider it as just specifically think it as a mini crash course for your MBA journey. I learned so much. I learned so much in those 7 days, and I guess this time it's I guess some months for you guys. So this time is going to be a great learning curve in your journey, where you'll be able to understand and learn new things which you might not have learned before. My weaker point was the financial sector. That is what I understood and learned more specifically when we came to this competition. What my understanding when I joined this competition, since it's you get a newer team member who you don't know. 2, you don't know if you can trust them. That is something everybody thinks. That is something you might also think while you will be working with them. But the key to that will be specifically talking to them, telling them what your vision is. Why is it that you are doing working on this product? How much do you love that? They will be more than happy to help you. They'll be more than excited to be your guide and to be your partner in your journey. My 2 teammates are still in touch with me, the Schulich students, and they are still helping me whenever I need them. So that is my going to be my number 1 advice when you are going to be a part of this journey. That you'll love the stories from Chris. I guess Chris is cool.
I'm here in the background and
yeah, you're here in the background.
Yeah, I'm smiling.
always ask for stories from Chris. That is my 3rd advice. He'll give you amazing stories. Yeah, over to you, Chris.
Well, thanks for sharing those thoughts. And Rahul, thanks for joining us as well. Is there anything you'd like to add into the conversation?
Yeah, good luck for all the members here, and good luck for the great life-changing moment right now.
Thanks. Awesome. So you've given us some really good, tips to go off in terms of for the students. I'd like you to reflect back. All of them are gearing up for getting to the top 6. If they get to the top 6, like you did, what's your advice in terms of like really connecting with the judges, really making sure your message is understood? What do you feel like as you reflect back was the key to your victory?
Okay. So when we like specifically qualified for the top 6, first of all, what you generally get confused with in the very beginning is your presentation. That is something you'll get multiple advices. You'll rethink your presentation again and again and again. Don't do it. That is going to be your first key. I think you'll be having a limit of 10 or 12 slides. You'll be having a limit of around 10 minutes. Make sure you go very slowly and make sure you talk specifically directly about the point. Don't go round and round. Just talk about what you want about your product in a very simple words, in a very precise words. Second thing, which I have been suggested multiple times and I have been following it for quite a while now. Always keep references, always keep links of whatever data you are mentioning about. Let's say if you are mentioning about some numbers, always keep references for where did you get those numbers. And I'm not sure if judges were visible at that time on last year, but this I follow during the live presentation. I always keep an eye on the expression of judges in order to make sure that they are getting what I'm explaining. Their expression tells you everything. So if that is visible, that is going to be a very plus point. Lastly, when it's time for the questions, when they are going to ask questions, make sure you listen to the entire question. Don't interrupt them in between. That is a very, very important. So listening is very important. Listen, think about it, and then answer the question. So that is, I think, going to be few of my advices. Whenever I present, I think I followed it. Yes.
That's great. Thank you. And another question for you.
Yes.
Clearly, as part of your journey, you built a really strong relationship with the mentors as well, too. So you talked about building that trusting relationship with the team members, the students. What were some of your tips in terms of how you prepared or how you connected with them and really got the most out of those relationships as well?
So sorry, I lost your voice in between. Can you please repeat?
Switching to the mentors, what are some ways that you really like leverage the mentors or came prepared for the conversations to get the most out of those? Because we got great compliments back on your team from the mentors about like, we really love working with those guys. And the more the mentors are engaged, of course, the more time they're going to put in, the more they're going to pick up that phone and call that friend or do the thing or, help you out. So how did you work on really like building that connection in a short period of time?
Got it. Okay, so I think my way to do it was so I came very prepared before our first mentorship. I was prepared with, okay, this is something that is not my strong suit. I was completely honest about that with them. And the other things which were my strong suit, or which are the things which we have been iterating for quite a while we were working on the product. So I think coming very clean about where your product has reached and how good you are with your presentation, how good you are with your research, that is going to be the most important thing. So if you be very clear with them, okay, let's say I mentioned specifically that finance is not my strong suit. We don't understand the number. We just know the names. We know capex and opex, but we don't understand the detailed part of it. So that is something I think really helped them understand what we specifically need for them. Also, the feedback that they gave us while they reviewed our presentation, we pitched in front of them, they gave us the feedback. Make sure you do your homework. If they ask you to make some changes in your presentation, the next time when you are connecting with them, be ready with all those changes and be ready with few more questions. If you have, just ask your doubt. They'll be more than happy to answer hundreds of questions. If you just think, okay, should I ask this or should I ask that? Don't worry about it. Just ask questions. I think that is going to be the second most important point. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thanks, guys. We really appreciate your time coming out and sharing your
Thank you so
messages
much.
with the teams. We'd love continuing to follow your progress and what you're working on, and you continue to do us proud as past champions, both in terms of the good work that you're doing in the world, but also in terms of how you're paying it back, paying it forward, coming back and sharing time with the next generation. And I'm sure you'll be
Yes.
eagerly awaiting seeing who your fellow champion will be. Maybe you guys will have a call.
Yes.
At the end of it all, and
For
you
sure.
can welcome them to that champions community.
For
So
sure.
thank you. Siyash, over to you for some thoughts on the guys' presentation.
Yeah, I think Karthik and Rahul, first of all, thank you so much for your experience and for sharing that experience with these candidates. I think you're going to have a lot of LinkedIn requests and mails coming in very shortly. I think what you have sort of in a concise way given as a capsule to these candidates is exactly what they need at this juncture, right? Presentation tips with referencing
Right.
data, listening to the right questions, how to deal with mentors, how to go well prepared into meetings with mentors. I think that's exactly what they needed to listen to at this point in time. And so really thank you so much for that, and hope to see more of you and more of your work in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Siyash. Thank you.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks, guys. Well, as a closing note from myself, I feel inspired by Karthik to share a small story and to share that with the group. And here's a small story. Some of you Schulich students might have heard this before. This is my message to all of you about getting out there, challenging yourself as the teams to meet people, knock on doors, go places, network, and get outside your comfort zone in terms of sitting in the back and just like working on the science or the tech of your project. There were a couple students I was working with a few years ago, and they were working on a technology to put tablets with engagement games and all kinds of like geolocated opportunities in the back of rideshare vehicles, in the back of Ubers and this type of thing. They had their great idea. They built out the opening tech platform, but they didn't have enough money to buy the tablets that they needed to have an opening fleet of 1,000 cars to be embedded in. And when they went to the venture capitalists, they would say, well, we need to, in order to give you the money, we need to know that this would work at scale. So here they were in this catch-22 position, but they built the tech and they were pitching people and this type of thing. One day I had the opportunity where I was invited to go out to a semifinal football game in the Canadian Football League and be in a private box. And said to the students, hey, I've got a couple extra tickets. Do you want to come with me and go and watch the game? And who knows who we'll meet in the box. So we went out, we went to the game. They said yes, they canceled their plans that day. And we went out and we were in the box together. And while I was there, I met an old friend and he asked me what I was doing. I said, well, I'm here hanging out, watching the game. I'm a guest of the league, but also I have these students with me and this is what we're trying to do. And this is what they're figuring out right now. And you know what happened? That old friend looked at me and he said, Chris, did you know that the CEO of Samsung Canada is in the booth right now? He said, would you like to meet him? I said, yes, we would like to meet him. And then I went over to the two students who were busily grabbing chicken fingers and food from the line and said, guys, put the food down. We're going to pitch the CEO of Samsung Canada in 5 seconds. And they put down all their food and we went over and they pitched the CEO of Samsung Canada on the business, on the idea and why they needed the 1,000 tablets. Now, people think that in this story that the CEO gave them a really good deal. He gave them like half price on the tablets. And other people think that he took an investment in the company and took some equity in exchange for the tablets, or he deferred the payments so that they could pay him back over time. But that's not what happened, guys. The CEO of Samsung Canada gave those students 1,000 tablets for free, no strings attached, because he wanted to test a new business model for where the tablets could appear over time and saw this as a pilot story a pilot case opportunity. He gave them 1,000 tablets. And then he personally phoned the CEO of the largest telecommunications company in the country and got that company to give all the data to run the network for the first year for free. See, so my message to you today is that you don't know what the world has out there for you, waiting for you, until you get out there and go explore and go find it. You've already done that by joining this program, but there's going to be 1,000 times in your entrepreneurial journey where you can go home or you can show up, where you can be comfortable where you are or go to that place and try to meet new people, where you can wait for the world to come to you or you can pick up the phone and go get it. And so I want you to take that little story away when you're thinking in your life about, do I go or do I not? Do I take the courageous move and put myself out there? And the other thing is, always be ready to pitch in 5 seconds and put down the chicken fingers and get ready to pitch, because you never know when you're going to have that opportunity to build the company up to the next level. Okay, so that is a little sample inspired by Karthik for like a story time with Chris that you get as part of the program. And I have 100, maybe several hundred people might say, of those little moments from my career and from the careers of our companies. So congratulations to everyone today. I'm so happy that we're all working with you. We're proud of you for getting this far. We're excited for the journey and where we go next. Sayash, a couple words from you, and then we're going to turn it over to Vito, who's going to talk to the students about what happens next in the journey.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it very short, Chris. So much to take back from this session. All the points that the speakers have made, and finally your story. Truly, I think what I would say is I express my gratitude primarily to the Schulich School of Business team, the entire team, to you, Chris, to Shrey, to Vito, to Swati, all of us. We've been working. I mean, I know that you guys have had meetings at 1 in the night, 2 in the night. Today, Shrey and I were having a conversation, and it was 1:30 in Canada. And I think that's exactly why this event has resulted into what it has today. But most of all, I want to thank all the members of the audience today, right? First of all, congratulations for having made it this far. But most of all, thank you for being a part of this program, and thank you for, we hope to see your contributions going forward, irrespective of what the results of the competition are. Really, really excited and really looking forward to what happens in the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much. And yeah, hoping to meet all of you in person sometime very soon.
Wonderful. Vito, over to you to bring us home.
Awesome. Thank you, Sayash and Chris. You were both wonderful co-hosts today, and I think walked us through a very educational and informative opening ceremonies and set the course for our next steps of the semifinal competition for Together 2023. So welcome to all of our participants listening in today and getting ready for today's first session, which will be starting in just an hour from now at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And you will be meeting and having a session presented by Roshni, the CEO of Prosh Marketing, who will be walking through a go-to-market strategy presentation, which will be really important for all of your decks and presentations. We also have a couple of other key speakers coming tomorrow, and you can see those speakers there, which will be featuring on topics like product market fit, presenting to VCs, pitch training, and presentation design. All very important things that'll, notch up the quality of your presentation and your pitch right in time for the semifinal pitch and video presentation submission on February 12th. So we're really excited for the top 22 teams to submit for the grand finale. And, throughout that period of time, you will basically, leading up to that submission, you'll have the opportunity for the next several Fridays for January 27th, February 3rd, and February 10th. Well, you'll have dedicated mentorship sessions to continue to build on your mentor feedback up to that submission. So I'm going to just share my screen so everyone can get a preview of some of the things that I was just sharing. And you'll see that we will announce the top 6 teams on February 15th. So that's like a key date for all of the top 22 teams. And once the announcement is made, the top 6 teams will continue with further sessions with both their mentors and with specialized pitch trainers to prepare for the closing ceremonies and championship round pitch, which will also be live and broadcasted across all of our channels with Schulich and Startup India. So really excited for everyone's ongoing participation and for the competition to kick into the next gear. So thank you once again to all of our participants, to all of the speakers that we had here today, and all of our dedicated sponsors that have both committed their time and their resources to make Together 2023 a special initiative and an expansion from our previous years. So with that, I will just say I look forward to seeing all of the participants back in just an hour for our go-to-market strategy session. But in the meantime, take a break, have some breakfast or have some dinner, have a drink, and get ready for a really exciting session to come up. So with that, I will say thank you, and I will close the session. So thank you, everybody, for coming to our opening ceremonies. We are kicked off. Chris, I don't know if you'd like a final word, but over to you.
Hey, Vito, great job. And as always, a nod of the head to you and to Shrey in the background and the whole team for everything in terms of preparing for today. Thanks again to our partners at Startup India and Suyash, great co-hosting. I love hanging out with you, and I hope everyone enjoys the next session and is ready for tomorrow's big set of events. I am eagerly awaiting seeing the next iteration of your businesses, of your pitches. And I'm also looking forward to hearing about the friendships and connections that you're going to build together in the month and a half ahead. There's some really special friendships that have evolved through this program where students from across both countries are still working together and supporting each other as the companies are being built and pitching in. And take advantage of that opportunity. It's really special to build global friendships like this. And I can't wait to see you throughout, but also to see you at the championship finals. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Enjoy the next session. A great morning for everyone here in Toronto and Canada. And well done. Keep going. We can't wait to see you in the finals.
Awesome. Thank you.